What's up, fight fans? Can you guys hear me out there loud and clear? Hold up. I got to do an audio check. I could hear it in my headphones, man. I'm going to do this audio check and I'll be right with you guys. How you guys doing out there? All right. So I can't hear it. All right, cool. All right. All right. So I can hear it back in my headphones. Good. All right, so we got the audio. Still haven't figured out the sound effects, but that's okay. We keep it pushing. What's up, fight fans? And thank you for tuning in to another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I'm always your host, Edwin. Where the wall fights start, round one. So, to go live after TVV is over. Just saying, champ. I was going to go live on TVV, but I guess Ness is caught up in his thing or his interview because I was in the background for a minute, for like 40 minutes. And I don't know if he noticed I was back there or whatever, but I tried to go on this morning and chop it up with Ness and everything about this Ryan Garcia thing. And yeah, I guess he's caught up into all his things. So I'll let it and I'll hop on later or something. But I he got me thinking about this Ryan Garcia situation and Mario Barrio. And this is a big fight in many ways. But I heard a lot of fans call in and voice their opinion about whether or not they feel as, Mario Barrio and Ryan Garcia is going to live up to the expectation. And I think it was Vega that called in and said he's a little turned off because of the fact that the fight is for a WBC world title. And a lot of people feel that Ryan Garcia doesn't deserve the WBC world title shot. And I disagree. I strongly disagree against that. And here's why. Here's why, right? And another thing is that the Vegas odds has Ryan Garcia the favorite rather than the champion Mario Barrio. And I also agree with that. And I'm going to share with you why, right? Okay. First of all, you have Ryan Garcia that's making upwards to $30 million plus or whatever it is on every fight. He needs a dancing partner. He needs somebody that he can share the ring with his star status. His star status is just as valuable as one of those belts. So putting Mario Barrio in against Ryan Garcia, it also gives Mario Barrio an opportunity to cash in on his belt too as well. You see, there's not that many dancing partners that are going to bring that kind of world stage light to a fight like Ryan Garcia. So in the business aspect of boxing, like I try to tell you, boxing is a business disguised as a sport. It's about money. And Ryan Garcia moves the needle. So putting Ryan Garcia against Mario Barrio and where the WBC can cash in on a night, that's a no-brainer. It's not about the WBC doing fuckery, about showing favoritism. It's about money. It's about business. At the end of the day, who's going to sell the most tickets for your event so that the promoters, the streamers, the networks, they all cash in? Why do they want to give you the fight that you might want, but not technically tuning in to support? It seems like all the people that are tuning in and supporting this fight is because of fighters like Ryan Garcia, right? So, okay, in the business light of it all, in the business light of it all, it makes sense to put Ryan Garcia in. Now, in the Las Vegas odds, when you got a fighter like Mario Barrio, that's coming off back-to-back draws. And you got Ryan Garcia coming off of a loss. Well, that's also a no-brainer for the Las Vegas odds, I think, right? Listen, Ryan, you coming off of a loss, but Mario Barrio, you can't rub those two draws together and get a win. You mean to tell me that my the odds makers are thinking, sitting there thinking, saying, okay, Ryan Garcia lost, right? But Mario Barrio doesn't know how to win. He don't know how to win. Ryan Garcia went in there. He fought the fighters he was up against. A little bit of like running on Rolly, coming off a year layoff. It showed. But at least he wins or loses. Mario Barrio, people are actually calling in for this fight. And you know what they're saying? That this could be a draw. A draw. What's up, champ? We game all night. What up? Yo, that this fight could be a draw. And it's like, why would people call in and wanting the betting odds? I haven't heard more people call in and say, yo, you know what I think is going to be at one? What? A draw. Mario Barrio brings that to the equation. He's coming off back-to-back draws. This guy don't know how to win. And the Las Vegas odds are going to take Ryan Garcia. Then I also heard that Ryan Garcia's mental state is going to come in and be like a factor, right? And I'm sitting at the press conference and I'm watching Ryan Garcia like show this side of him, right? We've kind of seen before, but towards Joe Guzman, his former trainer. And he seems like genuinely hurt behind the fact that Joe Guzman cited to fight with Mario Barrio. I'm not sure if Ryan Garcia understands that this is a business. And coaches, you know, top coaches get fighters on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis sometimes. And he has a family to provide for as a coach and a service that he can provide to men and women out there that are looking to get better. So, in the business aspect of it all, why is Ryan getting mad at a coach that's training a fighter? You gotta like Andy Lee and Edgar Berlanga were going at it in the Hamza fight, and it was a trainer thing. And you could see where some of these guys take offense to this. You know, I would look at it as a challenge. Yeah, you coached me before. We had a great relationship. Now I'm going up against you. Right? So I would accept it. I would have embraced the moment if it was me. But Ryan Garcia took it more personal. On top of that, right? On top of that, that all being said, um, Ryan Garcia is going back to his father, right? Henry. And I gotta admit now, on the outside looking in at Ryan Garcia, coming up from the amateurs, entering the pros, and all the coaches I've seen Ryan Garcia around, right, working with, okay, I got to admit one thing. There seems to be a pattern with Ryan Garcia. A lot of the coaches and a lot of the a lot of the trainers he worked with seem to say the same thing about Ryan. He thinks he knows it all. And Ryan is hard to get him to come train. Even though Ryan Garcia went from world trainer to world trainer, world class trainer, right? It didn't seem like the world class trainers can get Ryan to stay focused. No matter who they put Ryan around, Derek James, and put him around different athletes and different boxers, you know, it didn't seem like they can always get to Ryan. You understand? And then a father and son duo, one of my biggest concerns is he going to respect his dad as a coach? right? And possibly this might be what Ryan needs. If Ryan Garcia, if the other coaches couldn't reach him, and if Ryan Garcia actually respects his dad, maybe his dad can bring him back. Maybe he had to go full circle in life to realize what he already had in his dad. And he believed in his dad the whole time, but he went searching because he bought into the fact that you need a world class coach. And I'm in agreement with that. But I'm not sure that Henry hasn't been around the block and he doesn't know a thing or two and he doesn't know his son the best. Now, that's up for debate. I'm not sure if his father can bring Ryan, but I got to admit one thing. When you look into Ryan Garcia's eye in that press conference, he looks different, doesn't he? His aura, everything, it looks different. When they talk about Ryan Garcia's mental, like he's a quitter. He's going to quit. He quit against Tank Davis. Now, I have an issue with that because of Tank Davis. Tank Davis doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut in certain situations. Tank Davis thought it would be cool to let the world know that he had a mold in Ryan Garcia's camp leading into their fight. And the mold went back and revealed to Tank Davis and his team that Ryan Garcia had a fractured rib up here. He knew it. So Tank Davis took to social media to reveal that he said, "You think I don't know about your rib?" So Tank himself let the cat out the bag, knowing that Ryan Garcia was covering up an injury and still taking the fight with the rehydration claw and everything on him. The deck was stacked against Ryan leading into that Tank fight, right? So since Tank Davis himself revealed that and Ryan Garcia quit, it makes it credible that he did have a broken rib or a fractured rib. And it wasn't that Ryan Garcia was just quitting. It was just that when Tank Davis punched Ryan Garcia in the chin, although he knocked him down, he couldn't keep him down. Tank panicked and he went to the injury he knew was there in order to win the fight. What's that say? If Tank was confident and is keeping Ryan down, he would have avoided the rib like he did in the beginning because he was like, I'm not going to beat you by hitting you in your rib. I'm going to punch you in the face and I'm going to knock you down. But when Ryan Garcia got up, he must have said, oh shit. And Tank went right to the injury and then revealed that he knew about the injury. So, you know how fighters say, oh, I had a broken, you don't want to buy that shit. Nah, bro. But when the other guy says it, wait a minute. So is Ryan a quitter? Then I check Ryan's mental. Leading into the fight with Devin, that was kind of like a meltdown. But when we talk about Ryan melting down in front of a camera, it's different than Ryan melting down in a ring, inside of the ring. And when they say that Ryan is a quitter and that he's mentally can be beat, I don't buy that. Why? Why don't I buy that? I'll tell you why. Because when Luke Campbell dropped Ryan Garcia shook that shit off, got up, and destroyed him. He retired that man. He hit him with a body shot. It was over. I didn't see any quit in Ryan Garcia. I didn't see any quit in Ryan Garcia previous fight, even when he got knocked down. Now, Tank revealed the injury. He was probably really hurt. Maybe Ryan Garcia, without a rib injury, would have took that body shot well. But one thing I do know, that the injury was there because Tank said it. And Tank's mold bring him back the information. So you see Ryan Garcia's last performance with Rolly. And I told you guys, I said, yo, don't read into that fight. Not that one. That's not the fight you got to judge Ryan on for the Austrian, for everything. No. Remember, Ryan Garcia cashed in on one of his biggest paydays just before that fight. Whether or not he sold out the stadium with Devin Haney, that's not the point. Ryan got the victory and he got a bag. He was young, out of control, and he was suspended from the from a sport that kept him so disciplined. So you took away all the discipline, no training wheels, and you let that man run off for with a year suspended with no responsibilities to nothing with all that money. What you think was gonna happen? What you think he was gonna look like when he came back? Did you think Ryan Garcia took all that money and was like a dedicated fighter, and he stood disciplined? You think Ryan Garcia was in the gym the majority of that suspension? Or was he out partying? Was ring rust could it have been a factor after a year layoff? In Ryan Garcia's situation, absolutely. And I don't think that Ryan Garcia is the most dedicated fighter out there. I don't. Every fight, Ryan Garcia takes his entire sneaker and crams it in his mouth. How? I'm better. This is a better version of me. I'm at the best. I trained the hardest this time. What you mean you trained the hardest? So what are you saying? You didn't train hard last fight? What do you mean you're gonna do? So you said that last fight. So what are you saying, Ryan? We've seen these kind of antics with Ryan and Mario Barrio. He's trying to get up there and will himself, with his belt. He hears the noise, Mario Barrio, from everybody else in the world. You're a paper champion. You're a paper. And then the people come on 3 minutes later, scratching their head. Why is Ryan Garcia favorite? Mofo, you just called Mario Barrio a paper champion 3 minutes ago, and you're wondering why they don't believe in him. You yourself are saying Mario Barrio's the weakest champion in the whole division out of all the champions, but you're scratching your head. Why is Ryan Garcia, that never really fought for a world title, because that you can't count that with Devin Haney, why is he favorite? Mofo, you're coming off 2 draws. You don't know how to win. On top of the fact that you don't know how to win, everybody says you're the weakest champion. Why does this seem like a mystery? Why is it? I mean, yes, rightfully so. You can make a case for Mario Barrio to be the favorite. Yeah, rightfully so, with the guys he fought, the guys he's been in. Yeah. But maybe they're not looking at it like that. Maybe they're hearing you guys, the fans. Who is going to tune in, buy this fight, and why? And it seems like the people that are voicing their opinion about this fight with Mario Barrio, they're all saying similar things. Mario Barrio is not the strongest champion. He's the weakest link up there. He's coming off 2 draws. He don't know how to win. With Ryan Garcia, at least it's a little bit more cut and dry. He lost against Rolly, coming off a year layoff. He looked like this. But I'll take that over a guy that can't win. And we saw Mario Barrio get dropped in that fight just before the Manny Pacquiao fight, bro, right? We saw the performance with Manny Pacquiao. And once again, I'm not shocked that Vegas got Ryan the favorite. I'm not shocked that the WBC gave Ryan Garcia a title shot. Why? Some of these stars need dancing partners. Some of these guys are making big money, but there's nobody else that's making that kind of money right there. And if you want to sell Ryan Garcia, what is the business of boxing? Sometimes you got to build up these fighters for the moment, and the next fight can be that bigger. You put a belt in Ryan Garcia with the kind of attraction he has, what do you think the next fight's going to be like? So how can you fault the WBC for jumping up Ryan and giving him a title shot off of a loss? I remind you, this is a business disguised as a sport. It's not always noble. Boxing, when you say these things, boxing is the wild, wild west. So why are you shocked when it does wild, wild west shit? If you already knew this, we know how boxing functions, but we want to act like we're offended. How can Ryan Garcia get a title shot? What you mean? Didn't you guys say belts ain't shit? Some of you. Don't you guys recognize star status? That some of these guys' star status is bigger than a belt. That's the truth. Ryan Garcia with no belt is making more money than most unified world champions currently. So, what are you going to do? You're going to back Ryan Garcia up? You guys don't get it, huh? You guys don't get it. Ryan Garcia is more than boxing. He's got the looks, the allure, the charisma. Everybody's looking him up. He's much more than boxing. Ryan Garcia could stop boxing and make it just off social media. He's fighting because he wants to prove to himself he's a fighter. And he knows he has talent and the clock is ticking. Right? So, there are not a lot of guys out there. Ryan Garcia can lose this fight and still keep going forward. Somebody called in and said, I wonder if Ryan Garcia's, if he loses, will his stock drop? Not that kid. Not that kid. You got to understand that Ryan Garcia's fans weren't boxing fans to begin with. The majority of them, 20% of his followers were fans back in the day. And you're asking if what? They weren't following him because he was a world champion. They weren't following him because they knew about his boxing. No, they were following Ryan Garcia for Ryan Garcia. Just like millions of content creators that they just got that it. And people like to see their content. They're not no boxer. They're not nothing. That's what you got to understand. Ryan Garcia's star status can survive a loss. He can survive multiple losses. You haven't bared witness? What you think? That it's Tank Davis star status that made Ryan Garcia? You would be mistaken. Because without Ryan Garcia, tell me what Tank Davis fight sold like that. You need a dancing partner. You need somebody else that brings something to the equation. Who the hell are they going to get with Mario Bart? Well, Devin, okay. Because he just did that, though. So we can't count like shit like that just yet because of the time frame. I'm talking about reality. Who would have been ready? What, another Barrio versus Manny Pacquiao? Okay. If you're thinking Gary Antoine Russell, he can't get out of the mandatory with Andy. He's going to have to fight Andy, which begs the question, is that fight going to be the co-main event on the Ryan card? They got Torres. I don't think Torres could be the co-main event because there's not a belt on that one. But there's like 3 belts in that card, in the whole card. Now, I'm not going to make any promises. I think Ness was getting to it. He was going to put out and talk about the undercard. But I gotta get back to who's on the undercard, all the fighters, before I start saying things. So I just want to be sure because that prelim fight for the Ryan card is starting to shape up to be a pretty decent card. So I know that he couldn't fight Andy. You know what I'm saying? So that right there, my friend, there is nobody else that brings that kind of attraction. Okay, for instance, right? You got Mario Barrio. What is he? He has 29 fights with 18 knockouts, 2 losses, and he's been stopped once. The person that stopped him was Tank Davis, right? Okay. Um Mario Barrio fought his last fight was Manny Pacquiao. Then Romans, right? Okay, Albel, that was the fight, right? That was another decision, right? That was a tough fight. That was the fight he got dropped in, right? That he dropped the dude in, right? So, as far as that, um, I mean, you can throw in Ugas. That's his best performance, hands down to me. One time Keith Thurman. Um, interesting enough, his record, you got one time Keith Thurman on your resume. You got Ugas, which I think for me was Mario Barrios' best performance. If he fights Ryan Garcia like Ugas, although Ugas had a different style than Ryan, I think Ugas, for as good of a boxer he is, the uncertainty about Ryan Garcia being spontaneous. See, Ryan Garcia has gotten a stigma about being just a left check hook. Okay. But he throws it to the body, to the head. Ryan Garcia knows how to turn a punch and he can crack hard. Even Javante Tank Davis testified to that. And he was honest. He was like, listen, Ryan can crack. Beware of Ryan, right? Why you think he had to go to that rib? He didn't want to stand in front of Ryan too long and give him too many opportunities. You leave Ryan Garcia too long. Now, but when I think back to Mario Barrio, his performance, many people said that against Manny Pacquiao, a lesser version of Mario Barrios, like desire to end the old legend, you know, that right there, like they question. But coming off 2 back-to-back draws is really sending the message, bro, what's going on? You don't know how to win? You don't know how to like pull away from the fight to definitively be called champion? And most critics are very harsh on Mario Barrio. I like Mario Barrio. I like Mario Barrio. I think he's good, a good fighter. I think he grew up in the sport. I think he was real young when they put him in certain situations. I think Mario Barrio rose to the occasion on fights like Ugas, you know, but far in between. But what I think of Ryan Garcia, when I think of Ryan Garcia and the people that he fought, he was on the losing end when Tank. But Devin Haney was supposed to be an A+ fighter. That's what Devin Haney said. And Ryan Garcia was a C+ fighter, according to Devin Haney. Now, Devin Haney was convinced he was the better fighter out of the two. And on an eye test, I would agree. But it seemed to be that that wasn't the case. And although Ryan Garcia tested positive later for a banned substance, which later it came out, you have to ask yourself a question. Leading into the fight, Devin Haney publicly told the world several things about Ryan Garcia. You're a quitter. All you are is a left check hook. That's it. and you never fought for a world championship and you're a C plus fighter, right? Okay. You mean to tell me you knew all the answers to the test and you failed the test? You knew Ryan Garcia's signature move, Devin. What were you practicing on in training camp? Or did you fall asleep behind the wheel, behind Ryan's antics and meltdown? You knew everything about Ryan. You were familiar with him. You guys fought in the amateurs. You guys split in the amateurs. Um, you told the world what shot he was going to hit you with. And in the very first round, on the first sequence, he hit you with that shot like that. What were you doing? So when you blame fault, although Ryan Garcia tested positive, you got to ask yourself, what was Devin doing? Okay, you're hocked up on PEs. Fine. But does that make Devin a less of a fighter? Where did the skills go? Where did the A plus fighter, that the elusive fighter, that knew everything that was going to happen, where'd that guy go? So you have to recognize Ryan Garcia's abilities. What happened was Devin underestimated Ryan's speed and his power. He didn't take him serious. And as soon as Ryan Garcia clipped him, Devin sort of never recovered. I bet his head was spinning all night. Plus, he was fighting himself in his thoughts. Being that the first time, basically in his career, he's never been in this situation. Outpowered, outmuscled, the smaller guy. Everything was flipped. He was probably battling the embarrassment of being down in front of his family, his brothers, his wife, his father, everybody looking up, the sponsors, the whole world. He had to get out of his head, but no matter what, it taught me a very valuable lesson about boxing. How many times have we seen the most skilled fighter get swept by a not so skilled? At least you think so. That's when you start to appreciate styles make fights and you really understand what they're talking about and why they keep certain styles away from fighters. Why? Because of shit like this. Because of shit like this. Rolly ends up beating Ryan. Shit like that. And the boxing world goes upside down. Because you should have kept him away from that guy that you guys all felt this is a walk in the park. AJ is going to wipe down Andy, the Destroyer Ruiz. AJ is coming down to New York, and this Adonis of a boxer, look at him. He looks like a body, but he looks like he got chiseled out of one piece of fucking stone. AJ looks the part like a heavyweight champion if you was to put him in a movie. That's what you would think he would look like. That Terminator was going to come in and rock Andy. What happened? You underestimate these guys, and these guys have been trying to tell you, thank God that's not what fighting's about or boxing. Styles make fights. Andy the Destroyer Ruiz, he had fast hands. He had cruiserweight hand speed. AJ underestimated that. Yo, he clipped him right here, took out his equilibrium, and AJ never had his legs back. It was not like he was like basically defenseless after that shot. The difference between Devin had rounds in between where he recovered. He actually won rounds in the fight. Devin, I think at one time in the fight was up on the scorecard until Ryan got those last knockdowns, actually, if I'm not mistaken. So if you can go up on the scorecards and you can get yourself back together, where did the superior fighter, why didn't it show back up? Versus when AJ got rocked, he never had his legs underneath him. He was okay up top, but he couldn't get his legs and his hands to be in sync. But Devin got up and he started winning rounds, but he never turned into Devin Haney. Styles make fight. That powerful, unorthodox, spontaneous fighter that is Ryan Garcia, say what you want, hocked up on the juice. He was able to get to Devin, and Devin couldn't work around that. I'm going out on a limb on this, so I'm gonna say hypothetically on this one before anybody challenges me, right? Like I would be saying something so bad right now, right? I would just be saying everything that you guys are thinking, right? Uh I believe that there has been a man in boxing that fought another guy in the ring that did not get detected or they didn't take a test in the lowers, right? Coming up, that was probably on some juice. And I think that there were more than one occasion where the guy that wasn't on it beat the guy on it. Skills pay the bills. But since I don't want to, I don't have any like definitive proof that I got one guy saying, you know what, on that night I was hawked up to my gills and he still beat me. Until I get that, then I can use that for reference. But I don't have that. But I don't think that I would be in the wrong for assuming maybe, right? And I say hypothetically, because I got nothing to give you on this, but I don't think I would be saying something so outlandish that none of you guys are thinking. I think in a professional fight, somebody on one night or two was on some stuff and they lost. So just because you're on the stuff doesn't spell victory. No, you can still lose hocked up to the gills. If you don't got skills, you don't got skills. And although it'll make you stronger, last, sometimes that's just make you last longer for a longer ass whooping that the dude gives you. All you do is now you were tough enough to take massive shots all night because you still couldn't box like that. I don't believe there's a pill out there on injection that'll turn you into Floyd Mayweather. If that was the case, everybody would be taking it. You're still the fighter, a bit more enhanced as the fighter? Yes. Does it give you a better edge? 100% cheating. You're not that fighter without that stuff. No, you're not. You'll be better. You'll feel better. Confidence, that's a key. That's a big key. When you can be confident in a fight, that drug gives you that. When you have the confidence that you feel strong, you're not gassed out, you don't have to question if you're throwing too many punches because after punches, you're like, man, I still feel great. I'm going to continue to throw punches. Now, in that aspect, in that sense, that shit is fucking, that shit works. That 100%. That shit fucking does what the hell it says it's going to do. It'll give you that confidence. It'll give you the strength. It'll give you the endurance to last and sustain and muscle in some cases. Yes. And you can cut weight and body weight. So it'll give you a lot of advantages. But the one thing it will not do is turn you into Sugar Ray Leonard. That's the one thing it won't do. You'll still fight with your own same awkwardness or the way you throw your punches. You'll just have confidence to throw more of them at more succession, stronger. But you still can get your ass whooped because you're not him. You're an enhanced version of him. Yes. So, yes, it is cheating 100%. But can you beat a fighter on PEDs? I believe there has been fighters that have beat fighters on PEDs. Yes. Like I said, I don't, I don't, even if I had suspicion on hundreds of fights that I'm thinking of, I don't have the right to say that I believe that guy was on PEDs because of his physique. Because if that was the truth, then Tim Bradley is guilty. All day, every day, twice on Sunday. That man's physique, Tim Bradley. God damn, let me tell you who I am. I just broke my ashtray. Yo, Tim Bradley's physique, like, he was like, that motherfucker had like a 12 pack. So it wouldn't be fair to just zero out fighters and say, yo, that guy was on something. Because no, there's great genetics. No, there's people that have awesome, awesome genetics. You know, uh, it's different when you see a fighter come in and his entire career he was skinny like this, and then when he got into his late 30s, 40s, he blew up, and all of a sudden he's a beast. That's suspect. It's kind of like, I'm not sure if you guys know anything about sports history or whatever, but when Barry Bonds went through his entire career, he was a decent hitter. He was a decent sized guy. But all of a sudden, late in age, Barry Bonds literally went from 1 year being this skinny dude with an earring that hung down to fucking this monster with no neck with a small bat. And he was home run, home run. And it was like, bro, Barry, it looks like you're literally out on the plate chewing the steroids while hitting. Like you're getting bigger by the second. Like that right there, but could I ever publicly come out and accuse Barry of? No. I said it looks like it. What if Barry was that kind of, I don't know. But is it suspicious? Yeah. I've never heard him fail a drug test, Barry Bonds. So who the fuck am I to say? But they won't let him in the record books because they're in an agreement. Nah, bro. You went from hitting this much. So what, Barry? What'd you do? Just get stronger, faster, the older you got? That's what you did. Somehow, in your peak prime, you never put up those numbers. But as you age, you're putting up numbers not even in your prime you could do. That's like an old vet in boxing, all of a sudden coming back, fighting in his 40s, and he's up there competing for world titles. You want to question that. You like, but still, nevertheless, it'll give you all those benefits. That shit is cheating 1 billion%. There's no room for cheaters in boxing. If you did that to my son, you don't got to worry about the fight, the boxers. You don't even got to worry about your career after that because I'm coming after you. All bets are off. You tried to kill my son. That's how I'm looking at it. You could have gave my son brain damage. You could have, no, I'm not playing this game. I wouldn't, if Bill Haney attacked Ryan Garcia of his dad, I wouldn't be mad at them. Not at all. Instead of saying that court shit, if he would have ran up on him and just socked him in the face, all right, let's get it. You tried to kill my son. I don't get, all bets are off. That's it. For me, that's attempted murder. What you did, Devin, I don't care how much you had in your system. Tell it to the judge. Fuck out of here. That's cheating, bro. And you try to take out my son. That's personal. That's, I mean, as a dad, and I hear some shit like that, I might lose it. I might lose it. I really will. But what the possibility of a guy beating a guy on pads? Yeah, it could happen. Even though that guy was hard up, how good did you train your son? What was your son doing? Did some of that ass whooping go to your son because of the lack of training and preparation? You guys as a team came up with the game plan on that night. Now, as far as my son, you should have protected yourself better. I know you're a better fighter. Some of that ass whooping is on you, right? The cheating is 100% on Ryan, right? But I would like to know when I send my son out there, if he's fighting against a drug cheat, any competition, at least I prepared him the best. Maybe he could have avoided some of that. Maybe he could have been more prepared and worked around that and won. And then we would have found out he tested positive. Then we would have still kicked his ass a second time because that second ass whooping was merit. So that was going to come regardless. But I would have hoped that my son fought better against this drug cheating guy, right? And Ryan, I told you, I've always gave you the benefit of the doubt, but you never proved where it came from. You never got us. Now we're on the line with contamination, Ryan. Sabir got one. Jaime Mongia. I heard all the cases out. All of them. And Ryan, I was reserved for the findings. I was reserved for it. I'm not even holding you to that performance against Rowley to definitely say, yeah, you're a drug cheat. Because everybody has the right to prove their case. And the world asked Ryan Garcia, prove your case. Brother, you never did that. You never did it. You're going to have to wear the scarlet letter. That's it. If it was a contaminated substance, like you say, then where is it? You're the one taking it. Give me the bottle. Even if the bottle was empty, even if you took your last pill, you can still submit that bottle, trace amounts off the bottle. It will still test the same. Just bring the empty bottle. But that wasn't the case now, was it, Ryan? So in Jaime Munguia's situation, he proved his case. In Sabrier's, they proved theirs and closed the case. And all the other cases that were thrown out, were considered contamination, were not. There was always at the end whether they were going to go forward or not. If they went forward, suspensions were handed out. Now I know what you were suspended for, Ryan. Your lawyer is a good one for that. And I know what you won't go down in history. Your lawyer is a good one for that. Because when you go back and you look at the cheaters registry of all the men and women that tested positive that are on that list, I still haven't seen Ryan Garcia's name on the list. So he's on some of these other guys' lists that they try to be like credible sources and they put it on. So don't be mistaken. Look underneath and what name, that way you don't be mistaken. Because on the real one, he's not on it yet. I was waiting to see if they updated it or something. But so he's got a suspension for not turning in 2 dietary supplements. When you go to schedule a fight, when you sign the contract and you start entering the doping, from that moment, you gotta turn in all your supplements to the athletic committee. The athletic committee got then brings it to the doping agency. They hired whoever it is, and they approve the the vitamins and supplements that you're taking. Then they tell you, you get a letter and say all the supplements that were approved and all the supplements that were denied. And you can only take, leading into the fight, what you reported. That's professional boxing. Under the rules of doping, they don't care how it got in your system. If the drug got in your system, you're guilty as far as doping agency. The doping agency is not responsible to prove your innocence or your guilt. The only job they have is to report their findings. That's it. They're not questioning whether you're guilty. How they only show their job is to submit what they found and the levels of how much and percentage, and they send that to the to whatever state, like New York Boxing Athletic Committee. If you were boxing in New York, for example, they send it to the Boxing Athletic Committee, and then they deem whether they want to go forward with what the doping agency discovered, like Jaime Munguia. Same shit. And then the doping agency reported what was in Jaime's system, and then whatever Jaime's team and apparently they were satisfied with what he provided. When they're not satisfied, like in Ryan's case, the case drags on for months, weeks, and we see this going on. And they're saying, Ryan Garcia, we are not satisfied with the proof that you brought to us. And whatever proof the other guys come and bring, and excuses, we've heard 100 excuses of how these cheaters, these drugs mysteriously got into their body. So that's how that works. So you got to understand that the doping agencies like WADA and VADA, they have nothing to do with boxing. In the sense, if you hire them and bring them into boxing, now they're there. WADA, VADA can be introduced to boxing in multiple ways. If you're fighting in California and the California Boxing Association says for this title fight, the fighters will be tested by WADA. That means that they hired them. That means you got to answer to them. If you're not on VADA's 365 testing, then VADA just can't walk up to any boxer and say, hey, you, I want a urine and blood. You can't do that because it's in their name, VADA, Voluntary Doping Agency. You got to voluntarily submit to them or call them. And just to think that this entire thing with Ryan probably would have never came to light if Ryan didn't hire VADA on himself. Remember that. It's not like Bill Haney and the doping agency that was hired to sanction the mat caught Ryan. They didn't catch Ryan. Ryan basically caught himself. Yeah. Remember that. Because how did VADA get into the equation with Ryan and Devin? Ryan was having the meltdown. The New York Boxing Athletic Committee threatened to cancel the fight because of Ryan's mental state. They called Ryan and his team in on a secret meeting to evaluate his psyche. Ryan Garcia in that room proved to all of them that he was stable of mind. Ryan said, listen, I don't have to explain what I'm doing to you. Just know several things. That in all my antics and everything I said, I never said I wanted to hurt myself or anybody else. I'm not suicidal and I haven't caused harm. The only thing you guys actually got me for is high level trolling. That's all you're concerned with. But as far as my mental welfare being in this test, I never said I'm feeling suicidal. I want to harm myself, harm somebody else. None of that shit. And they had to look at Ryan and they said, he's right. Let the fight continue. See? So, this game that Ryan does, like he's doing with Mario Barrio and shit, and I'm watching it, but I do see the fire in Ryan's eyes. I do see the fire in his eyes. When Ryan gets like that nervy, goofy energy, that can be quickly mistaken for fear or being nervous. But instead, Ryan's anxious. He can't stay still. Seems like Ryan knows something no one else knows. You can mistake that for nervous energy. Yeah. Ryan's not scared of Mario Barrio. There's no one in earth that can make me feel that Ryan's nervous to fight Mario Barrio. No, no. Mm-mm. Ryan, in fact, looks at Mario Barrio like this dude can't beat 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. That's how he looks at him. I bet. I would. I wouldn't underestimate. That doesn't mean that you underestimate a person because you look at him like that. No. Ryan is a smart kid. The only thing I question is whether or not he can pull it together with his dad. Let me catch up to the chats with y'all. What up? If Juice pulls up, can I become at the YB at the YMCA like George Foreman? I forgot about Barry Bonds cheater ass. Yeah. Yo, that dude, man. I couldn't say he was cheating because they never caught him, right? But come on, man. There's like some situations where you look and you just like, man, I don't think you just got caught. That's all. Right? Because he got so big. And that other dude, Mark McGuire, the white dude, Sammy Sosa, he always looked like that. But a little bit skinnier version of himself. He did get more buffed, Sammy. Yo, that was a big steroid era in baseball, I really believe. That was like the biggest steroid era. Look, at one time, if you remember that era in baseball, at one time there was three guys hitting home runs like it was going out of style. And every time they were batting, no matter what team was playing on TV, they would cut to their at bat. It was Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, and Ken Griffey Jr. All three of them were rocking out in the beginning of the year. In the middle of the year, they were all still three there, like hitting massive home runs. Then, like towards like the end, uh Ken Griffey fell off from hitting home runs. And Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire was just up at the bat like every fucking home, every game, like clunk, clunk. Hey, yo, and it was crazy because Mark McGuire made it look like, yo, there's real such things as superhumans. Look at how he swings that bat effortlessly. Home run, bro. Sometime he would hit it like check swing, and it would bullet out of the park. That people were saying that the balls were juiced. Nah, the balls weren't juiced. That big 6'6", 310-pound man, behemoth of a man. You're not questioning him. They're saying everything, but the guy's on juice. Geez, I better check that bat for a cork, Bob. Yeah, and that ball might be juice because it's really out of here. No, not the bat, not the ball. How about that guy right there? Yo, Mark McGuire, bro. That dude was a big human. Um, you know who's a bigger human? It's hilarious. Me and my brother, we be laughing at this when we go see Judge, Aaron Judge for the New York Yankees. Yo, you go up like there was a game. There was like a away game or whatever. It wasn't a lot of fans in the. It was like an early the beginning games. It wasn't a pre. It was a regular game, but it wasn't a lot of fans. So we got to sneak down all the way down to the seats, the like expensive seats, and he was in the batter's box, like right there. Aaron Judge. And my brother said, "Yo, that shit is funny." I said, "What's funny?" He said Aaron Judge is trying to act like a human. He's a giant disguised as a human. He was like, yo, that's cute. You're hiding out trying to be one of us, Aaron Judge. He was like, bro, you are a giant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, his face is, bro, it's like this big, man. Aaron Judge's face. He looks fake. Until you see him, you're like, what the fuck is that? Yo, it makes sense when my brother said it. He was like, yo, he was like, that's cute. You're trying to act like a human. He was like, dude, you're a giant. Like, and not all giants got to be like really, really big, but he's an exceptionally sized human being, man. Jesus, his fucking hands are like this. When you see him, like, he's like, he's in my, well, I mean, maybe I was a prisoner of the moment, but he looked bigger than a wrestler. And a wrestler, a professional wrestler, like a WWE wrestler, them dudes look big as shit to me. That shit never. When I was a kid, they even looked bigger. When I grew up, they were a little bit smaller to me because I got bigger, but they were still huge. But that Aaron Judge dude, nah, man, I couldn't stop staring at him. I was like, Jesus Christ. And then he's around like other giants too. He's got other baseball players. They're all trying to hide out playing baseball and shit, wondering why they hit 700 feet. Oh shit. Motherfucker, you're hitting with a tree. Like, stop it. Most people can't even pick up his bat. It's like Thor's hammer. Like, his motherfucker's playing with a street pole. Like, you know what I mean? Yo, he's crazy, bro. What's up, guys? Barry Bonds still the greatest hitter of all times. Wrong. Wrong. Pete Rose. Pete Rose. If we're going to talk about guys like them in their category, I got to add Pete Rose then. I'm sorry, my man. He might be the greatest San Francisco Giant batter of all time. Yeah. And he probably got the best hitting, like, but there was purer hitters, better, purer hitters, not home run artists. If you said he was the best home run artist of all time, I guess you got that. But hitter, like in clutch situations, you need a guy to come home type shit. Like his whole career, not on the juice for like 1 or 3 seasons. You're talking about a guy from the minute he started baseball to like, the way he batted. Barry Bonds was great. Even when he was skinny, I gotta admit, he was fucking the shit. He went to God mode with that home run shit, Barry. But P. Rose, mm-mm. Clutch hitting, mm-mm. He's got to be the best I've ever seen. I forgot his about if he got into the Hall of Fame finally. I remember, I think he did or didn't. I don't know. But that man's records got scratched from the Hall of Fame, man. And that hurt. That hurt. A man like that, for those records not to be, and Cooper's, like, mm-mm. That's what you get for cheating. Perfect example. And I talk about this. Not every guy you think are in these locker rooms just fucking shooting up. Yeah, I want to be Austrian, Ryan, throw the Austrian. Yeah. No, not everybody wants to be shamed. All your world titles The name that you built for you when your mom walks out the house. Hi, Miss Jackson. That's the champion's mother right there. They open doors for your mom. Your family name lives better in the city. People think better of you. And the moment you get caught doping, they're gonna take all that shit away. How many gold medals did they strip from athletes? How many championships did they take? How many records are out of the record books now? You think everybody wants to sign up for that? And Pete Rose didn't even dope. He didn't get caught using steroids. He's not like any of these other cases. No. Pete Rose got caught for gambling, shaving points in a game, betting on other games, betting on himself. Pete Rose bet one time that he was going to beat this team. Nobody on the freaking Reds team got hits or runs. Pete Rose by himself won that game. That's how good he was, bro. He said, we're going to have 3 runs versus 1. Pete Rose made 3 runs by himself. Type shit. Like, the dude was a unicorn. And for kids all over the world not to know that there was a man like that. See, Pete Rose did that for real. It wasn't steroids. It wasn't because of gambling, for shaving points. He got kicked out of Hall of Fame. All his records gone, diminished, but it still didn't take away from his batting ability, his playing on the field. He wasn't juicing. Those records are real. They gone. Gone forever, bro. What if Canelo Alvarez doesn't get elected into the Hall of Fame? How are you Mexican fans are going to take that? Could you actually say that Saul Canelo Alvarez is the best Mexican champion? Or will you stay with Julio Cesar Chavez then? That's been saying that he's the best and anyway, and Saul hasn't done anything to pass him, he feels. But with the doping allegations tied into Saul, what does that do? What if he goes to go to the Hall of Fame and the alarms start going off? Woo! Woo! Oh! Let me see your ID. Canelo Alvarez. Don't you know cheaters don't come up in this building? Shh. Now I'm going to ask you to back up and turn around. And if you don't, get your cheating ass out of here. Get your punk. Yo, they gonna beat it. Yo, listen, they shouldn't let cheaters into the Hall of Fame. That ain't right? That shit ain't right. So I don't know. What's gonna happen. In some circles, they say, opinions are like assholes. That what his lawyer did and got him exonerated. Is that the truth? Well, we're going to find out when it's all said and done. Saul has to stay retired for 5 years to be, qualified to be eligible to enter the Hall of Fame. Doesn't mean because after the 5 years, he's automatically in. No, just like in any sport, they have a ballot. They ask 100 people, whatever it is. And these guys that pick the men and women to come into the Hall of Fame, a lot of them, it's a mixed bunch of people that are reserved, that earn the right to pick these ladies, men and women, into the sport. There's a lot of commentators, things like that, and promoters, and just a whole bunch of people, and they elect. So if in that class, in that group, when Saul 5 years from now, well, I didn't say he retired yet, right? Whenever the day he decides to call it quits, On that day, the clock starts ticking from 5 years from that moment. Now you're eligible. Now they look over your resume, what you did in your career, yada, yada, yada. And then they make the decision. Now, on the outside looking in, I think that Saul is a first ballot Hall of Fame, that he should walk in with no problems. But I disagree too, because there is a problem. How bad the problem is on the day when they look over his files, the peoples that be, I guess they're the ones that'll be reciting, not me. I don't have the right to, I don't have that kind of voice yet. That'd be awesome though if I get somewhere with this and one day, oh shit, I forgot I dropped this shit. It'll be awesome if like one day they'll be like, yo, E, we want you on the ballot. I'm like, okay, get on the ballot and shit. I wonder how that works. It's crazy. But yeah, which brings us back to Ryan Garcia. Look, I'll take the fight. I'll take the fight. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be the most noble of boxing fucking podcast, that I got to be the guy that follows suit with everybody's all of a sudden noble antics. But when Stephen Kubo Fulton missed weight on the scale and was challenged over Fossey Foster, and the WBC made up a bullshit weight, 135, and put an interim belt so that there was a belt on the line, I didn't hear anybody fucking even shed a fucking tear over that. No one said shit. So when they're doing it for these two American guys, right? It's okay. But when they do it for Ryan Garcia, boxing is broken. The WBC ain't shit. Really. When they allowed Jamel Charlo to have that WBC world title and champion in recent for 2 years, now the WBC ain't shit because they're working with the fighter. So they could do it for him, but they can't do it for Ryan Garcia, huh? But Jamel Charlo's special. O'Shaughnessy Foster, Stephen Kubo Fulton, they get away with it. The WBC works then. But for a young American Mexican kid that looks like Super Mexico, because it's Ryan Garcia, now the WBC ain't shit. No, you know what they'll do? They'll sacrifice Stephen Kubo Fulton, and they'll sacrifice the other fighters like Jamel Charlo. Why? Because they'll try to prove, oh, we can down them now if they want us to speak up, just to give us the right to shit on Ryan. No, if you had something to say, you should have said it in the moment. We already know how you feel. You didn't voice your opinion for Jamel Charlo. You didn't voice your opinion for Shakur Stevenson every day now, did you? If you did it one time in a 5-minute segment, that's not enough. Because how many times have you brought up Ryan Garcia's name in this situation? You would have to bring it up equal amount of times then for it to be even. You can't say, nope, I said this about, yeah, you probably did. One time. How many times you bring up Ryan shit? Fucking every day. Not equal. Not equal. Same thing. That if you do it for one person, why can't you do it for the next? Hmm? Hmm. I wonder. I wonder. Hmm. But there's a lot of favoritism, a lot of double standards in the sport of boxing. A lot. You'll hear it. Even fans contradict themselves, with one situation being the similar, eerily similar, but another situation comes up, they view it a whole different way. Some fans don't even see themselves being biased. They don't. They just so hard up on the fact that every time they come up, they're right. You know those guys, right? Never listen to reason. Those kind of guys. But that's not you and not I, right? We got our third eye open. We understand the magnitude of the situation. This is really not that serious. Ryan Garcia getting this with his star status, it's kind of like a no brainer. How many times have we seen this movie play out in the sport of boxing? Why are you shocked? You act like you've never seen this before. You act like you didn't turn the blind eye when it favored someone you remotely liked. You didn't have anything to say about it then? So don't be a hypocrite rather than choosing to see that, oh, there's a belt on this. That's what deterred me away from the fight because of the honor system in boxing. What honor system? Where's this noble sport that all of a sudden took you for a loop? I'm confused. Aren't we watching the same thing? Expect it. I expected this. Does it make it right or wrong? No, but I do watch boxing and I see this shit happen like every day. Why am I surprised? Concerned and voicing my opinions and my thoughts about it? Everybody has opinions are like assholes. We all have one. Sure. But to act like I'm offended? I think you're doing a little too much. Yeah. Yeah. Rather than embracing the moment. This is what we got to entertain ourselves. I don't watch football no more. I don't watch baseball. I don't watch basketball. I don't watch tennis, foosball, table tennis, nothing. All I watch is I don't even watch the UFC anymore. And they got a good fight card coming up. It don't do nothing for me. All I watch is boxing. And as that kind of fan, bro, I just encourage you. Maybe appreciate the fights a little bit more. Maybe you'll get more excited for it. Rather than allowing all this negativity of everybody saying, this guy's shit, this guy's garbage, this situation sucks, boxing's corrupt, the same old, same old, same old, same old. What about the fight? You're going to argue all the way how you don't like this fight, all the way into the fight. What set of lenses do you honestly think you're going to watch the fight with? Bias. You can't even help the fight for yourself at that point. Even if the fight was a banger, you wouldn't see it. You'd see everything negative. It would be horrible to watch a fight with you because I'm more on the line. Like, let's go. Yo, pass that shit. Let's go. Yo, my man, he gonna knock him out. You know, we getting hyped. I'm getting amped. I'm trying to like push the energy of the boxing gods out there. Give me a knockout. That shit never gets old. Come on, bring me blood. Let's go. I want to see. Yo, there is no better feeling on earth. There is no better feeling than to watch a man come into a fight with you confident and you see his face expression change in the middle of the fight. You see the fight leave him. You see fear and doubt in his eyes start to set in. You can see and feel him getting weaker, retreating. Yo, there is no better feeling than to take a cocky, arrogant fighter leading into a fight, talking shit to you. I'm going to fuck you up. You're like, yeah? All right. And that same cocky mofo, you watch after your work. You can see your work whoop his ass. And you soon, he starts to realize that your fighting mentality is you are here to assist me on whooping your ass. I'm going to whoop your ass, and you're here to assist me on doing it. There's no better feeling in the world than that, man. A grown man to watch, and then you put him out, boom, right? And he's flat on his back. No one can help him. You look into the crowd, you see the worried look crying on his wife's face, his friends, they're all jumping up and down, talking shit to you. No one can help him. All that shit y'all talked. You listen, when Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford fought like that, Terrence was talking. That's that same feeling I'm talking about. Everybody wanted to jump in the ring and help Errol, including myself. I was Terrence. That's enough. You're not gonna keep punching him in the face like that, bro. You know what I mean? I would have jumped in the ring. Yo, that was hard to watch. But Terrence, that feeling of dominance, you could see he's scared. You could see he's worried. He's not as calm. Where's all that shit talking earlier, bro? What was all that energy? Yeah, here's that energy, bro. Hold that. Let me see it. Come on, right? And boy, I tell you, there is nothing better in this world than watch your enemy fall in front of you. Your opponent, call it what you want, treat him as such, right? If you're not with me, then you're against me, and if I'm fighting you, you're not my friend, right? we, I'll treat it like that. After the fight, my mind changes. I seem to get this overwhelming sense of respect for the guy. I don't know why. It's like morally, like it just happened. You just appreciate combat, I guess. You don't have to be a piece of shit. For me, it's not, you know, aggression, anger, whatever way you prepare yourself to fight, it's all part of the fight. But after the fight is all said and done, you got to know how to let that shit go. You can't live in there. That evil will drive you crazy. You'll be punching fans in the face on the way out, doing stupid shit. You'll be running in people's dressing rooms and shit with your brothers. You got to learn how to turn that off. As soon as the fight's over, that's it. I trained, I fought, I let that beast out from this time to this time. That's it. After that, I'll turn it off. I take a deep breath. It's all said and done. Whatever the outcome is, we go back to living life. That's it. It's a warrior's path. A warrior's path is a fighter, a boxer. It's a lonely world when you're in it. It's supposed to be. Ryan Garcia and these Devin Haney kids, they fucking the game up. You know, a lot of fighters like Floyd wanted them entourages and them big shit because he did an entourage because he wore a lot of jewelry. So he needed that shit, right? He was too flamboyant. But to tell you the truth, boxing is a lonely man sport. Nobody wants to hang out with you in a fucking gym. You know, when you're working out for 4, 6 hours every fucking day. You know, you can't have a relationship too much like that. I would recommend that if you weren't married going into it, don't get married. Because the majority of your day, you're going to come home exhausted. And then sometimes it's not recommended to be intimate with your girl so that you can train harder and at your peak. It takes 3 days for the human body to recharge of just one time of the nitty gritty, right? So it's like boxing is lonely as fuck, bro. It's just you sometimes, your coach, constant thoughts of fucking engagement, battles in your own head, like these sequences in your head of how you would throw the punch, and it's just like all day. And um when you're not training, you're eating. When you're not eating, you're resting. When you're not resting, you're training again. While you're resting, you're training in your head. Now you start to train while you're sleeping. And it's like it consumes you. And then the mistake that a lot of young boxers make is the fake sense of freedom when they get all out that from that. They like win a world title and get invited to like a party or whatever, a nice one up there with everybody. And when you get that give that to a person that's been isolated for so long, a fighter that's been lonely, that little bit of attention can take him out of boxing. They want something new in life. You know, some of these boxers go through the depression in training camp, you know? Like they go home and they see their brother and their sisters with families and kids, and they start thinking, am I going to make a family or something one day? And they look at themselves in the mirror and the cuts and the you see the boxers like their teeth, some of them are knocked out, and you know, you start second guessing yourself and shit. And then you go to this one little thing. The boxer has to learn how to stay focused. He had to embrace that shit like Usyk does. Usyk goes out and does weird shit on camera because he's not a real social dude. Usyk is just him, his team, and boxing. You can see it. You can see it. And boxers live real fucking lonely lives. But that's the way it's got to be. There's no other way. I don't think so. There's no other way. I would have it no other way. I would be Marvelous Hagler any day. Any day. Yeah, that kind of level of dedication, that shit is not easy. You can't do that with everybody fucking being around you. The baby's crying. This about like, dude, like fighting takes too much, man. And that's why I respect these guys. I respect these guys, man, because Ryan Garcia and shit, like, look, man, uh, say what you want about the kid. He's good for boxing. He got us talking, right? The Sufa card, bro. What time is it? I think it starts at 5. Tell you the truth, that shit, that card is kind of garbage. The Sufa card. Um, it has to do with boxing though, and I really want to like promote it and see what's going on with it and stuff like that. I can't help but notice that Sufa is like fucking up in a lot of different areas. But you want to know something? I know for a fact. I'm not saying anything about them. I even fuck up their name, right? Because I don't. Some part of me don't even think they're gonna be around long enough to even remember or say their name properly. Let's find out, because they seem to be doing a lot of stuff that I'm starting to question. But it is their first card. Would you expect things to go wrong? Perhaps. Yeah. With guys that been in the game this long, maybe not. If you guys, your whole team was new at this, then I would say okay. But you guys are not. All of you. Meridian, all of them. They know what the hell they're doing. When they didn't have the girls come out, and he was like, "What you mean the girls can't come out? Fumble? Where's the communication? Minutes before we're supposed. That's when you guys were. So what were you guys talking about in the preparation? Big red flags as far as the event and who's in charge of what. But I'm not really like to rule out Sufa yet. Like nah, like okay, cool. But Nah, dog. Like, I hope the card is exciting, but mm, and then what else? What else? I'm confused with today was Jayo Bataya. The message, I guess, the consensus message about what Dana White is, what he made versus what we assumed was going to take place, they're not adding up by far, right? I'm confused as hell. How is Jai Opataya unifying and undisputed, but fighting on their stage and they announce they have a belt? Are they doing both? Can they do both and exist? I mean, maybe I'm on the line where what's not having me think is because I'm choosing a side. I guess I never really looked at it like, could they do both? I was always thinking of breaking it down in my head because this is one way to think about it, but there's always another way to think about the situation. Am I right? Options. So when I think and I break things down, yeah, that is a possibility now, isn't it? They can have uniquely their own belt coexisting with the Alphabet Boys at the same time if they wanted to. I mean, they could do whatever they want, right? But I was on the side that if you allowed these belts in and these belts carried weight and your tournament, boxing, or what are you calling it? Right? Promotion, Zuffa promotion, whatever you call it, right? And if they exist there, then what's the need for your belt? What's the need to dress up your fighter when these belts already exist? Why would you have to make up a belt if you're allowing these in your, you see what I'm saying, guys? So I kind of never looked at it like they can run both because I thought that in my head that I was like, it's either got to be one of the or two. But I mean, I get, what time is it? It starts at 5. We'll see, I guess. We will see. The moment he carried the, well, you bet on Canelo and lost to Bud. Well, well, check it out, right? Here's the problem with that. Fans start to lose their way and get spoiled on these announcements of fights. Typically, back in the day, remember when Saul and Floyd Mayweather went around the country, fucking going everywhere advertising? That's a massive fight. That fight took a lot of planning and being meticulous on how you do it. Same kind of thing. Jake Paul and Tank Davis were starting. They were going from New York to Florida, etc. Those are big fights. But typically, commonly, fights get announced 1 month prior leading into the fight. And some start the press conferences 2 weeks out from the fight. It's kind of how they did it. Remember when they let Devin Haney into Australia? As soon as Devin got there, it's kind of like when the festivities kicked off, right? And then you saw them everywhere together leading up into it. You saw them on a couple podcasts, big fights. But this Ryan Garcia thing and Turkey having this stigma or this problem with, although he throws a lot of money at these fights, whoever he got as promoters and shit, they fucking suck. Them people need to be dragged out somewhere and they all need to be stoned like with small rocks. I don't want them to get hurt. Just slight bruises. Right? Right? I don't condone the violence, right? But his promoters, for like all the fucking like, not, I wouldn't say all of them, but his promotional skills, them dudes, they suck, bro. They're not, I don't know if they're Americanized or what, or morally is he like in his hotel room fucking cringing like, we're Muslims, we're not supposed to do this, and we, there's women and they got bras on, they're not fully covered from head to toe, and they're not looking at the TV type shit, and I'm funding this shit, I'm paying for it. As you can see, there's lines in the sand he won't cross. Dum-dum, right? In New York City, he didn't even let ring car girls because they can't see skin. It's their religion. Like if you look at a woman with those set of eyes, see, it was told to me as a young man, even if you're in a relationship, say you're married, right? And a badass chick walks across the street. The minute you see her, that's for you. That vision, that's for you. If you look away and you look back the second time you see her, that's for the devil. Your perception of her is going to change. You have the right to look at her one, but gawking, now that's temptation, the flesh. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't let none of the girls hop in the ring. That's that. I mean, how you gonna be a certified Muslim, right? Think about this, and have your faith at the forefront of everything you do. You guys are, you guys wear your faith and are religious, like, and you know, and no matter it is taught to you, what's on this earth really technically don't matter. That money, the events, you got to stay morally grounded. You can't allow money and the pursuit of cashing in on something when you know yourself you shouldn't be doing that. Then I guess you wouldn't be a great Muslim now, would you? Right? So, so in that sense, he wouldn't even go and let ring call girls, not while he was sitting there in attendance. Remember when they threw that card out in the Saudi Arabia, all the girls that came out, they were covered. They were dancing head to toe. You saw no skin, right? So, and then they don't serve alcohol. They don't smoke. They don't serve alcohol. That's a lot of red flags for American. No sexual contact. You know, a green card girls, some boobs, some thongs on, none of that. No alcohol, no smoke. So when it comes to promoting, can that be a problem? Could because could Turkey be saying, "Yeah, I'm not going to pay for that. I'll pay for the fight. I'll pay for the, but you can't bring that in here." Is that a secret problem behind it? I'm just asking. I don't know if this is. I'm just thinking out loud. That's all. I'm just thinking out loud, and I'm asking you guys. I mean, really, like, I don't know. Yeah, well, um, Pudge, listen, I mean, that's that doesn't work for me. You know why? I don't gamble. Um, as a matter of fact, I was coming back from Las Vegas, right? From the Naoya Inoue fight. I was flying back home to Boston. So I was in Vegas, and in the terminal upstairs, there's this room where you can go and you can smoke. You can smoke cigarettes, cigars, vape pens, weed pens, and I had my pen on me. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna go hit this pen. So I go in there, and in the smoking thing, all they got in there is all these fucking machines, slot machines, right? With buttons and bells and whistles. And I'm looking at these people like, and there's a guy there. He's literally just putting hundreds of dollars into the machine. He had like an envelope, stack of just hundreds. And I watched him put like $700 into the machine. And he's sitting there, and with every press of the button, he's like, right? That shit does nothing for me. Nothing. When I see the lights and the bells, first of all, I'm not attracted to something I don't understand. And when even if you understand, explain it to me and say, "Hey, these are the rules. This you can double your money here. Double you what you're looking for is the horseshoe brother, right? Okay. As soon as you explain everything to me, my fucking conspiracy theory mind is gonna go. That's a video game. The machine can be set up for you to lose or to win. It's not something that I got faith in that I'm gonna put hundreds of dollars in it. That this machine's being honest. It's a computer right there. Not unless you got a deck of cards, and that's right in front of me. Deck, like poker, like blackjack, like shit like that. I play that. I've played it with my son. My son gambles a lot. So and it's not that I don't like to gamble. I don't gamble, but I have gambled though. I have won pots, big pots too. I'm not saying I don't. Like I've never done it. It just doesn't attract to me. Sometimes I've gone to gambling games because I went to these games because I actually wanted to sit down with the guys at the table and talk to them. I knew he was in town. He was going to be at a poker game. I went to the game but got my buy-in, but it was mainly just to get next to him so that I could talk to him. Type shit like that sometimes. And sometimes there be people in there that I need to see. So in those situations, those moments in my life, yeah, I've gambled. Yeah, I'm not into it. The bells and whistles, that shit don't do nothing. Online poker, that shit don't do nothing for me, man, at all. I just, I thank God. I thank God for that because I got other failures that I can't walk away from. Right? It's the same thing about the guy that smokes weed and the alcoholic. The guy that smokes weed can walk by the alcohol store 24 times. It won't bother him. He's not a drinker, right? So to speak. Some of them do drink, but let's just say one hypothetically that doesn't. But the alcoholic can't walk by the liquor store, right? Eventually he's gonna walk in that motherfucker. You keep walking by to that's his thing. Like if you get me in a room with Snoop Dogg and all of them, and you told me don't blaze, that's Snoop Dogg. That's a tray of bud, the finest. That's the finest za right there. Money can buy. And you're telling me, no, what? And you want me to walk by this place 24 times? You don't got to worry about me walking by 24 times. The first time I'm going to open the door and I'm going to let you know this shit didn't work. Pass that shit. Listen, because that's what I'm attracted to, I guess. Right? So We all got shit, right? Just because gambling ain't my thing. What if I was a toll guy? I had fetishes or something. Real creepy, right? But that's what I mean. It's not like I'm saying I don't gamble and I'm just like the perfect thing in the world. Fuck out of here. Get out of here. Yeah, you might be better off than me. Right? So, you don't judge nobody. I learned that in life. Don't be saying, oh, I never do that. And no, I'm just explaining. It never fucking attracted me, period. It just wasn't my thing. I might do other stupid shit that you won't do. Yeah, we all got it, right? But yeah, then build so when he says like, yeah, you don't got the girls to look at, you don't got the liquor, but we got the online poker. I'm still screwed. I'm like, nah, that don't work for me, man. I need the girls or the liquor, man. You gotta give me one. Something's gotta give. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to see some yams. You know what I mean? It's something. Ah, talk about I can't hit my pen in Saudi Arabia. You go to jail. Jesus Christ. Mm-mm. That's got. I go like. I guess like. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to make up a fake situation. Like I'd go out there when I'm older in life and I got everything, taken care of, and I'm not taking a sip of anything, and I don't need to smoke this. And that's when I'll go out there and no, no. I'm a dumbass. I'll be in the fucking hotel room on top of the fucking toilet, blowing it into the vent. Wonder why security's knocking on the door. Honey, who's that? Huh? They smell something. Yeah, tell them it's the potpourri. Right? I'm burning fucking pine cones. Get out of here. You want some? Huh? I'm telling security. This lighten up, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right? I'm too dumb. My wife would say, "No, don't bring nothing with you." And no, I'm not bringing anything. I got a pound in the duffel bag. Like, I'm an idiot. Like, I'm an idiot. She'll say, "Don't bring bud, flour." And out here, she said, "Don't bring weed, but I can bring vape pens and edibles." Okay. You're fucking dumb, Edwin. What is wrong with you? I don't know. I question myself all the time. For real. But listen, fight fans, we got an amazing fight here, man. And a bunch of good fights. We got this Sufa shit kicking off. If we're gonna go back on later, I'm gonna cut this live stream right here. I probably hop on TBV. Probably we go up there, chop some shit, chop the shit. You know what I mean? Check out what Ness is doing and shit. I hope Stars up there and all the guys and shit. And we get up there and we start talking some boxing and shit. I like talking with them. So fight fans, um, tune in for these live chat breakdowns, fight parties. Watch this fight party with me. We're gonna be throwing up the Notre Dame World Championship. See if you can come in and call these fights and walk away with the Notre Dame World title. Look, it's not gonna be easy, right? I know the task is a huge task. Coming up here, calling fights better than what? Me? You really think you can call better fights than me? Hmm. Prove, test your wits. Show the people you know what you're talking about. Join us here on Round One Sports Talk when we call and we put up the Notre Dame's world title in the main event. Richard right now is currently the world champion by default. Like he came up here and Koki gave him the answers to the test. They systematically broke down the equation, carried it by one. What I'm saying is Richard was on our stream. His test results came back. Oh no. Hanging out with Ryan, huh? Richard. Nah, that's some bullshit. Richard, you're the current champion. I'm playing around, but I'm coming for my belt, bro. Pause. I'm coming back for that, right? And I'm gonna show you, Richard, that all I was doing was being nice that day. You are a first time guest. And Koki talked for you. We wanted to welcome you into the family. You know, I threw the fight. I threw the fight, Richard. But now, that's it. I'm locked in, laser focused, ready to call these fights. And new. I should say, and still new, right? It sounds better. And still new. Both. I'll take both. Richard, you're going down. Goki, listen, you can't help your boy. Frontline, you can't pick a winner to save your life. And Malasa, he needs therapy. The only person that can come up here and think that he's crazy enough to have the cojones to challenge me is Hugo. And he's currently in the witness protection program, hiding out from Round One Sports Talk because he knows we're going to show him up. Viva Mexico, cabrones. That's for Hugo. He's not here to defend himself or say it. I'll say it for him. I'll see you guys at the battlegrounds on these fights. Tune in here at Round One Sports Talk and let's have an amazing time. I'm on to the next one. After this one, here at Round One Sports Talk, don't forget to hit that like button for me. Show your brother some love. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you there. I'll see you later at the. We're probably going on that Sufa shit. And if I'm saying it wrong, I'm from Boston. We don't say